YouTube, it's your girl Brianna, and today I have filmed for you a customization slash wig making video. Today I have made a frontal wig for you guys. I'll give you the deets to the hair all in the video. I just wanted to show you guys how I make my frontal wigs. I feel like I'm at the point where I'm pretty confident on my wigs and how I customize and make them, so I thought I'd share it with you guys because I know this process can definitely take a while to get a hang of. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what other videos you guys would like to see, whether they're kind of, give me some feedback. Don't forget to follow me at all my social medias. I'll put them on the screen. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
Here, I'm just showing you the bundles from Modern Show Hair Products. The texture of the hair is Malaysian Water Wave. It's a 16-inch frontal with 4 bundles, 18, 20, 22, and 24. I'm just showing you guys how full and thick the bundles are and how the curl pattern looks once you play with it. I'm also showing you how the ends are not stringy because, with curly hair, the ends can look pretty stringy. Now, I'm just going to show you guys how I dye the bundles jet black. The supplies you will need are bundles, gloves, trash bags, and the dye. I'm just going to make sure I really saturate each bundle with the dye to make sure, that every strand of the hair is covered with the dye, because that's one thing I hate after dyeing hair and you seeing that you still left some brown marks. But yeah, just make sure I really saturate the hair, and I'm going to get it off the bundles.
Are you alright?
Next, I'm just going to show you guys how I bleach my frontal before I'm dyeing it. All I'm taking is some Chloral BW2 bleach and some Claro 40V developer. Right now, I'm just spraying the baby hairs, getting them out of the way so they don't get bleached. Once I do that, I'm just going to take maybe about a cup and a half of the bleach and just pour the developer until I get a really thick consistency. Remember, you don't want it too watery because then the bleach will leak through and actually bleach your frontals when you just want to bleach the knots. So once I get it to a thick consistency, I'm just going to use a knife to spread it onto the hair. I like to use a knife because it's flat and it really prevents me from, from the bleach leaking through or me pressing down too hard.
Are you alright?
Zuzi on the track.
Once I finish covering the frontal, I'm just gonna flip it over on the aluminum foil, cover the frontal up, fold the aluminum foil over the frontal, and probably let it sit on the frontal for about 10 to 15 minutes and checking on it every 5 minutes or so just to make sure it doesn't over bleach. Once the frontal is finished bleaching, I'm just gonna wash the frontal off. Just to make sure all the bleach is off the frontal, I'm just going to apply some Iso Plus neutralizing shampoo. This shampoo is just going to make sure all the chemical reaction from the bleach is being stopped and that, your frontal doesn't overbleach in the process of Once I make sure that neutralizing shampoo is really scrubbed into the frontal and washed out correctly, I'm just going to use the Salon 35 Beauty Toning Shampoo. This is just going to get rid of any brassiness or orange coloring left in the frontal. It's just going to make your frontal look very natural and very realistic looking. I'm just going to let that sit for 3 to 5 minutes on the hair. That's just going to make sure it really gets rid of all the brassiness, and this also helps with realistic looking frontals. Once that is done sitting, I'm just going to wash the frontal off with some lukewarm water again, and then make sure I just Now I'm just showing you how realistic the frontal looks once it is bleached and toned. The scalp looks damn near like a real person's scalp. Now I'm just showing you how I dye the roots of the frontal. I'm just using a brush to apply the black dye to the roots, and then I'm going to dye the frontal how I dyed the bundle. Just make sure I really saturate Now I'm just going to be rinsing the bundles off while the frontal is drying. I just like to use cool water, and you're going to run the bundles under the water until it is running clear. That lets you know any dye sitting on the top of the hair is off. Once it's time to start shampooing and conditioning the bundles, I just like to use the Ayudad Vital Curl Shampoo and Conditioner. I just start off with the shampoo, rinse the shampoo out until the water starts running clear, and once that is done, I start conditioning the bundles. Just completing the same steps with the frontal, rinsing the frontal till the water is clear. Once all that is done, I like to start constructing my wig. I'm just showing you guys how realistic the frontal is now that it's washed and all that. I'm just going to place the frontal on top of my mannequin head, and I just began plucking. I don't really pluck in a certain fashion or a specific kind of way. I just kind of go with the flow, parting a thin line of the hair, especially with the baby hairs that they give you. I just like to part that away from the hair, and then I just began plucking. Plucking is one of those things where it can go wrong pretty fast, so just take your time with it, you know, no rush, and pluck until you feel everything's just starting to come together.
Are you alright?
Zuzi on the track.
Once I'm satisfied with the way the frontal looks, I just start constructing the wig. Here I'm just showing you how the frontal looks now that it's all plucked. I like to use a spandex dome wig cap to make my wigs. I feel like those sit pretty securely on my head, so that's what I like to use. I just place that on the mannequin head and then I lay my frontal over it, pin the frontal down. This you don't have to be too tedious with because the extra wig cap that's not sewed onto the frontal gets cut off, so the top half of the wig is your frontal anyway, so it's not too much of a big deal if you don't, pull the frontal too much over the wig cap. But once I get the frontal laying the way I think looks right on the wig, I like to just start sewing the frontal onto the cap. I don't sew in any particular Once that is all done, I just like to start sewing the bundles down. I just go through the wefts and through the wig cap, and at every end of the track, I like to make a nice knot. This is the wig completed. Once the wig is completed, I just take it off the mannequin head and I like to cut that extra piece of the wig cap that I was telling you about that is not connected to the frontal. Once you cut all that off, I just like to try my wigs on and make sure, it's fitting me right and I'm okay with the way it's fitting on my head basically. Once I do that and make sure it's fitting right, I just like to take some of my City Color Contour Effects palette and I take the bronze color because it matches my skin tone very well, and I just like to apply that directly to the tip of the lace of the frontal because that just helps it blend with the beginning start of my head and then to the scalp. Once that is completed, I just like to take some elastic band and I measure the elastic band around my head or from ear to ear. That's how you want to measure it, and once you do that, you're just going to cut it and sew it onto the frontal. I like to sew it closer to the ear tabs of the frontal because it just helps the two sideburn pieces lay better. That way you're able to pull some hair down and do that brush. Okay, you guys are going to see me real busted for 1 second. I'm just going to show you how I look with my wig cap, and all I'm doing is just trying on the wig now that I have the elastic band. I like to pull the elastic band behind my head first and then pull the wig on my head. Here you just see me adjusting the front of the wig to my head, just making sure Here I'm just taking some Gorilla Snot, and that's what I use to, I guess you could say, glue down my frontal. I'm just applying the smidgest amount to the edges of my head. And once I do that, I just like to blow dry it and blow dry on the side. Once I feel the Gorilla Snot getting a little tacky, I like to pull the wig onto the part that I glued down, and I just like to firmly kind of hold the wig down onto the Gorilla Snot, and also like to blow dry it with the blow dryer on the hot setting. I apply more Gorilla Snot wherever it may be needed. That's usually on the ear tag part, so I just like to put more there and then hold the ear tags down until I feel like they're not Once I finally get the wig laying down, I just like to pull down those sideburns that I was telling you about and just get the right amount of hair that I like there. Once I do that, I like to start with the baby hairs. I don't do my baby hairs in any particular way. I just like to use the smallest amount of hairs as possible. I don't like my baby hairs to look too unrealistic, so the less hair you use, the more realistic they look. I just like to lay them down with some mousse on the top of it just so it can kind of lay flat, and then I'll cut it to the length I want it to be with the Once the baby hairs are finished, I do the same method on both sides. I just like to put my hair up so I can get a bandana around my edges just to help them lay flat and help them look natural.